Hey, Dr. Mike here. Are you looking for a way to boost libido for yourself or your partner? Stick around to learn how Fenugreek can help.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. Dr. Crystal, I'm going to read you a survey from 2008. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
A 2008 survey on sexual function of 32,000 women in the United States by obstetrics and gynecology found that nearly half, 44%, reported sexual concerns, with the most common concern being low sexual desire. Here's the thing about this. The women were of all ages, not just postmenopausal. What do you think about all that? That's a lot.
I think that it doesn't surprise me. It's a sign that healthcare professionals should be asking more women about this issue, or sexual concerns during routine clinical encounters. I've never
Yeah.
been asked. And of course, it's for some personal discomfort, but there are a lot of uncomfortable conversations that you have to have with your doctor. So I'm not sure why this one
It's part of
creates
being a
such
doctor.
a
I don't
right.
know. I don't know. I mean, it's just the way it is. As you're getting into people's personal lives. I mean, that's part of it, right? So they
Well,
can't be afraid of it.
I'm curious. In med school, did you talk about this? Do you maybe the doctors, they just don't know what to do. Maybe it's
We
just
did.
too complex and they don't feel adequately prepared.
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I don't know. We did. We went through all kinds of different, especially second and third year. We went through OBGYN. You went to the clinics. You went through different scenarios, practicing talking to people. This came up a lot.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's happened. No, because that was a while ago, Dr. Crystal. Things may
Okay.
have changed in curriculum a little bit. I don't
Right.
know. But we did for sure. Yeah.
And I wonder if it's
Hmm.
also related, like that was the context with more menopausal women, because that's kind of what people assume. We kind of recognize that sexual concerns arise during the menopausal years. And I'm just
Yeah, I think
wondering
that,
if maybe
well,
that's the context, or
maybe
has been.
nowadays. I do remember. It's funny you making me go back to medical school days. I do remember. So when you learn how to do a physical history and take a or get take a physical history and do a physical exam, the first thing you kind of learn is women and men. And one of the things you learn with women is you should ask about sexual issues, because some may be trying to get pregnant if they're
Mm-hmm.
not in menopause, and you got to bring that up because they don't often bring it up. And then postmenopause, because there's a lot of women that have that issue. So I remember that
Yeah.
being in very basic history questions.
Interesting. Yes, but
Yeah.
yes, it occurs in younger women as well.
Yeah.
I've saw that
This
survey that you referenced earlier, and 27.2% of younger women, and this is age 18 to 44 years
yeah.
is what we're considering young.
Yeah. Our podcast, Live Foreverish, we have now added three things to a basic physical exam for doctors. What does your stool look like? Are you spitting pink after you brush your teeth? You
Oh
should be asking that.
yes,
Remember that? And now
yes.
sexual issues should be brought up. So we've added three things for primary care doctors.
Right. And if the primary care doctors, if they're not bringing it up, and now I'm talking to the patients, then you have to bring it up.
I agree. But you got to be your own, what's the word? Your own leader,
Advocate.
you advocate. Yeah.
Advocate for
It's
yourself.
it's unfortunate. I mean, we don't want to go down a tangent or anything here, but since we kind of already did, um, you have to remember medicine is different today. Patients, I'm sorry, doctors, especially in primary care, they are in these corporate settings asked to see a lot of patients every day. Maybe they're cutting some corners on the history taken. I don't know. Sounds like it. We got to slow it down. We got to bring it back. And until we do, you got to be your own advocate.
That's right.
Let's talk about some causes here. you said at the very beginning it can be complex, and it is. I think when I first hear of low libido, I do think of hormonal issues first, and that's usually for
Hmm.
the older woman, right? Maybe not so
Right.
much for the younger woman. So when we're looking at causes, do we need to split it up and say, okay, what are the common causes in a younger woman versus a postmenopausal woman?
Potentially, I think the solutions kind of all roads lead to very, I don't want to say simple solutions, but we know what can support libido and arousal, such as hormones like testosterone. But yes, it could be due to, the antidepressants, hormonal
Mhm.
birth control, which you will find, some of the younger women taking that medication. But of course, stress for many women,
Yeah.
desire, arousal, it's all in their heads, all in our heads. It's, the stress of life, you don't feel, sometimes you just don't feel beautiful. You don't feel attractive. Maybe there are
Yeah.
insecurities that you need to overcome. And so yes, it is very complex. And I think, to a certain extent, you have to treat each patient as an individual. Although we kind of do know there are some things that across the board can help.
Yeah, other than looking at hormones, thyroid included in that, and looking at the sex steroid hormones, your estrogen, testosterone, all that kind of stuff, there really isn't a low libido workup. Yeah, there's not like, like there's workups for all kinds of stuff, your chest pain, whatever. But when it comes to
Mhm.
low libido, there's really nothing in the documentation that you can look at. Oh, we should do this. There really is really not there.
Yeah.
And so at least check your hormones, look at your medications, but ultimately, let's get into the solutions. Like, how can we help? Right?
Yes, right.
Let's dive
Yes.
into this. This is what they want to know. And the first one I love because I'm from the Mediterranean. I like to see my Mediterranean friends do good. And here it's an herb known as fenugreek. All over the Mediterranean, Southern Europe, parts of Asia. Um, it's a small little clove looking thing, seed like, almost coriander looking. I don't know. Have you ever seen a picture of fenugreek?
Oh, I've eaten them. Like when I
Oh,
go to Indian restaurants,
yeah.
one of my favorite Indian restaurants, they're by the door. And so when you leave out, there's a little spoon and you can just pick up some and put them in your, this was pre-pandemic. Let me clarify. I haven't seen any
Yeah,
bowls
yes.
with spoons of fenugreek
God,
out
COVID has changed so
recently.
much.
But yes, I do recall those days of having the fenugreek on my way out the door to help with the digestion of my very spicy Indian food.
Well, it turns out there's some key compounds called saponins. I think I said that right. That are in fenugreek. Because remember, one of the things Dr. Crystal and I like to do is when we look at in our the company that sponsors us, Life Extension, they're experts at this. Is taking the seed and okay, so fenugreek has shown some historical evidence for helping
Mhm.
with sexual desire and stuff. But is that number one? Is that really true? Number two, if that's the case, what's really the key compound
Right.
inside the fenugreek that's doing that? And these are called saponins. You want to do fenugreek seed extract that is standardized to over 50% of these compounds. And when you do that, Dr. Crystal, there's good evidence that the historical use of fenugreek was correct.
Very true. We're seeing that uh, its mechanism of action is through supporting healthy testosterone levels, and that goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Something we know supporting testosterone can help to support the sex drive. Estradiol levels as well are influenced with fenugreek.
Mm.
Again, we're talking standardized fenugreek to these active constituents. promoting female sexual response, sexual desire. And we see that specific standardized fenugreek in younger women and menopausal
Yeah, two
women. We have
studies.
research with
Yeah.
both groups.
Yeah, that's great. Since that survey said all ages are having some issues here. So one study was in young menstruating women. This was a controlled trial. Let's see, 80 women, 29 to 40, with self-identified low libido. They took that standardized fenugreek extract, 600 milligrams a day. I think they broke it up, 300 twice a day.
Yes.
And they reported improvement in sexual satisfaction across the board. There was improvement in levels of hormones. And all of this compared to placebo in just 8 weeks.
I know. I think that's great. What's nice is that the objective measures, those improvements in hormones, match the subjective improvements that the women shared that they
Yeah.
experienced. So that's really nice.
Tell us about the second study. Then was I think similar setup, right? Maybe not as many women. I don't know, but
So
or
a
maybe
little
more women.
longer,
Yeah.
more women, a little longer, 12-week study,
And
115 women, age 40 to 65.
so
So the
we're
previous
moving up in
study
that age.
stopped at 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at an older, more mature age group. I was saying not older, mature. 600 milligrams of the fenugreek seed. And the measured outcome was a very standard menopause specific quality of life survey or questionnaire. And there were improvements with menopausal symptoms, which is a bonus, right? With
Right.
the fenugreek, but there was also improvements in the sexual domain response part of that survey as well. So we're seeing
Interesting. Yeah.
improvements in menopausal symptoms, and we know that sexual response is included in that survey, and there were improvements there. So we're seeing with both groups, 8 weeks with the younger women, 12 weeks with the menopausal women, fenugreek helping to support various measures of sexual support.
Yeah. A simple, safe, natural extract. I mean, Dr. Crystal's been eating the seeds for years and years and years in Indian restaurants. It's fine. She's doing great. No problems. And non-hormonal, because that's important to some women, right? I mean, it has some hormonal effects, but and fenugreek's not a hormone. So I love it. I think it's fantastic. Great job, Mediterranean herb.
And one thing I would note, Dr. Mike, is the duration. I emphasized it earlier, but fenugreek is not something that you want to take as you prepare for a night of romance. This is something
Okay.
that you want to take on a regular
It's daily.
basis.
Yeah, it's every day.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's
So
a
it's
good
not
point.
like,
Yeah.
the blue pill that
Yeah.
men take.
That's
A
very,
little bit
very good
different.
point. Very, very good point. But you're getting fenugreek is good. It's an herb. It is healthy. It's good. Taking it daily is perfectly safe. You'll get some additional benefit even from that. All right. Solution number 2 is saffron. And like fenugreek, saffron has been clinically shown to improve sexual satisfaction, right?
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's a traditional aphrodisiac. Who knew?
Woo!
In various cultures. But again, as you mentioned earlier, life extension looks at what's in saffron and what active components is providing the benefits that we're seeing with saffron. And we have research again with 2 active constituents, saffronol and crocin,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and
Those
both
two.
of those being beneficial.
Yeah, those are the same compounds too, if I'm not mistaken, that we've looked at for certain food cravings, even helping with some weight loss. So it's the same compounds there. So I know in this study, this was 74 women, age. So this was a huge age range, 18 to 55. Right. So
Yes.
this is a big one, looking at sexual dysfunction on this test you can take, and you get a score. 15 milligrams saffron extract twice a day. 1% of that was the saffronyl, 10% the crocin. 6 weeks. What did they find?
Yeah, so they saw improvements. So this was also a questionnaire, change in female sexual function index. So the scores of sexual function, and in the saffron group, the saffron treated subjects compared to placebo had the greatest improvement in satisfaction and a significant improvement in desire and lubrication with saffron. And when you look at just going back to what you mentioned with saffron and with cravings, and we know saffron supports mood, similar mechanism of action. The researchers think this has to do with saffron positively supporting neurotransmitters such as serotonin,
Serotonin. Yep.
dopamine, norepinephrine, these brain chemicals that are involved with desire and
Yep. That's
involved
great.
with a positive mood, and that kind
Yeah.
of translates to a positive mood in many spaces.
Yeah, well, it does, right? When you feel better
Right.
overall, other places and other things start to feel better. I remember a time when saffron was first kind of being studied for mood. It was actually in depression, because there was a belief that these compounds were serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or they acted that way, boosting the serotonin. I don't know if that's what we believe the mechanism is now. I don't know if that's as clear as they thought it was going to be, but whatever it's doing, it's boosting saffron in some way, and that's definitely helping the mood issue, which then carries over to so many other things.
Right. Absolutely. And so when we look at duration again, the fenugreek, we want to think about 8 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks. And then the saffron, the study that we just covered, 6 weeks
Yeah,
to support. So
and that's
something you want to
important.
take and just let it be an add-in.
Just
to
do
your
it and start
regimen.
taking. I know, because, and the reason we're going over that again, or I think the reason you're going over that again, Dr. Crystal, because as our listeners know, sometimes we like to take a look at what people are saying in Google land,
Yeah,
and a question that we see doesn't really matter what the topic is or what the nutrient is. So many people want to know, how long will it take to work? And I get that. I
that's right.
understand that. Well, the answer to that is what Dr. Crystal just did. You got to look at the studies.
That's right. I think responsible reporters, journalists, right, Dr. Mike, of information, we should make sure that we are sharing, not guesstimating. We just
Right.
report what the researchers found, and that's what you should
That's
expect as an
that's
individual.
that's what the data shows. That's what we have to report on, right? So
That's right.
now, of course, within those 6 weeks, 12, whatever that is on anything, it's an average. Some people maybe got an effect a little earlier, some people a little late, whatever. But those were they picked that 6 week, they picked that 12. There's the data. That's what you should stick with.
That's right.
So, Dr. Crystal, we would not be doing our jobs correctly, since you are a doctor of clinical nutrition, if we didn't answer another Google land question. What is the best food to increase women's libido? What do you think?
Yes. Well, we do know that there are, well, let's take a step all the way back, and let's talk about just supporting libido, supporting arousal, satisfaction is all about blood flow. That's a component, right?
Okay,
Hormones, that's a
right.
component, but healthy blood flow throughout the body. So supporting cardiovascular health is healthy blood vessels. That's a great
Makes sense.
way or a great
Makes total.
place to start.
Yep.
So you can look at a pomegranate is beneficial with that. I love pycnogenol for that. And then think about, that the healthy foods like great polyphenols, blueberries, a lot of those dark, colorful veggies, even omega-3s, fish. So we'll
Mm.
start there. And then other foods, we may not have formal studies, but many people are familiar with oysters as an aphrodisiac.
I don't.
So that
I
is
don't
one
care if they
thing.
are. I don't care if they are or not. I just love to eat them.
I know, me too. Dark chocolate, I already mentioned pomegranate, and pumpkin seeds may be
Pumpkin
beneficial.
seeds.
So those are a few things you may want to add to
The
your
pumpkin.
romantic dinner.
The pumpkin
A pomegranate dessert
with pumpkin seeds on
with
top.
no, combine the two. Something
Yeah,
with pomegranate, dark chocolate,
chocolate and
lava cake.
yeah, that sounds great with an appetizer of oysters to begin.
Yes.
The pumpkin seeds are that's an interesting one to me because we know pumpkin seeds, they've been studied a little bit in prostate health in men. We also know that they can help strengthen pelvic floor muscles and stuff for women who have it. So it makes me wonder there's some pumpkin seeds like to help out in the genital urinary area, it
Yes, we
seems in
do
both
have
men and
that
women.
information.
Look at that. This was a
So
great
give it a
show.
try.
Yeah, this was a great show. I really enjoyed this. Hopefully, you learned something. If you are experiencing low libido, obviously go talk to your doctor. But remember, there's really not much of a workup. They can look at hormones. Might want to get that thyroid checked. Make sure you're not anemic. Basic stuff like that is always helpful. But you might want to give it a shot. These are safe, natural things. You're talking about saffron and fenugreek. There's really no reason not to give these a try. And hopefully they will help you out. Hey, don't forget our sponsor, Life Extension, would like to say thank you. If you go to lifeextension.com, shop around when you check out, use the discount code podcast, and you'll get 10% off $50 or more, plus free shipping and handling. That's at lifeextension.com podcast. And then we have liveforeverish.com where there are, I always ask you, Dr. Krista, how many episodes we have now. We don't know, do we? But I don't
But
remember.
if you head to Live Forever, you'll see over 500, maybe 520 or so.
A lot of
And some
stuff.
of those are some fan favorites, but
Yeah.
yes, we have over 5 years, Dr. Mike, going on 6
Yes, right.
years now.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So check out
Yes,
liveforeverish.com, like, share, and comment, and of course, subscribe so you never miss a show. I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
thanks for listening.